Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram at Fishers Man 21. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. We are back. Starks, good to see you, man. Good to see everyone back here as well. You can find me over on Twitter. Storm Sage Gaming is the new tagline. And can't wait to get into some of this fantasy basketball goodness, man.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be back. And, season, man, about to start on Tuesday for a couple of games. And I'm sure there's full slate of games that we're accustomed to on Wednesday. In this episode, before we get started, if you guys haven't subscribed to the site, newlifefantasy.com, join the mailing list, be a member for free. So it just helps obviously our site to continue to grow. If you're interested to be a contributor, let us know. We don't only do fantasy basketball, we do baseball, football, and share the faith of Christ on there. So just let us know if you're interested. In this episode in particular, we'll just talk about some potential breakout players and just honestly shoot the breeze with you guys because it's been quite some time. And hopefully that we will get some new listeners. And I know there's been some that has been pretty much consistent that remembers us. So I appreciate you guys and for the new members that is coming on. But with that being said, I'm ready to take people on for a ride. Um, I'll just go ahead and pass the ball to you, LT, if there's any players that you want to highlight on that are potential breakout players this year.
Yeah, one of my first is one of your guys. Quickly wanted to just share that Yahoo has updated their rankings. So there's a couple of players on Yahoo rankings were completely out of wrong, and they have updated them. So just if you were taking your leagues for rides and any drafts up until now, it might not be the same because Yahoo did go in. It looks like maybe yesterday night and change those. So yeah, but Josh Giddey, man, I'm big on Josh Giddey. I was watching him in some preseason games as well as some of these some of these summer league summer activities, and he's really been working on that three, man. So it looks like he has the green light over in OKC. And we were just talking right before we got on about Wasteland teams, and OKC is one of those teams that you always gravitate towards, Starks, and picking up. I think you had their whole starting roster one time, man, 1 week because they had 5 games that week. I think you picked up their whole roster, man. So what do you feel about Josh Giddey? You always love playing with those OKC guys. What gravitates you towards that type of team when they're a Wasteland?
Just one of the things that stick out is like opportunity, as I've always mentioned on podcasts on a Wasteland team. And for those that are new or maybe not familiar with a Wasteland team, it's just a team that is just a team we predict that's not going to be particularly good. Which if the team is not really good and they have veterans on their team, most of the time the younger players on the team are going to have all of the opportunity in the world to actually they're going to do bad in a lot of case by case scenarios. But when you have the opportunity for younger players to get involved, that gives them more time to have the green light, is what we would typically say, or with more opportunity to make mistakes, but it gives them room to progress at a lot quicker pace. Because if they're not playing, that's not to say they're not going to be competitive, right? But the team may not be particularly good. So if the team is not going to be good, then the pressure, I'm not going to say that there's not going to be pressure on the players in the first place, but that it creates more shot attempts, more passes, more steals, more defensive stats, all of those counting stats we need in fantasy leagues. So if you are in a category league, right, that opens up the opportunity, but also the negative thing about that, it brings on turnovers, right? And I know that some people play points leagues, so that would still be good for you in that aspect as well. As far as Josh Giddey goes, SGA is going to be out, I believe, particularly maybe for a few weeks, if that. He could be back sooner. And then you got Lou Dort is, slowly coming back. So they don't really have any players that really stick out that like any basically older cats on the team on OKC that is like veteran presence that has to be out there, right? But looking at this team, their all makeup is super young, right? And then the guy that they drafted, as me and LT was talking about earlier this year, Chet, I'm saying that is an unfortunate hit because he was looking like, I'm just called for what it is, Holmgren. Thanks for bringing that up. It's like he was looking like a new unicorn. Just being honest with you, in the summer league. So, to see him having that right foot fracture, in dynasty formats, because we do talk about dynasty, but we also do the redraft flavor. If you are capable to, if you're starting a dynasty league, I still would put him essentially in a top three pick in a dynasty format. And you're cutting a coupon, and it's essentially in a dynasty format redraft. You're not going to touch him with a 40-foot pole. But as far as Josh Giddey goes, looking at him being a player last year in OKC, he is running point. He's been looking good in the preseason. He's going to do, I think, if you were to ask, like, well, Starks, what do you think he can finish in the top? I would think maybe top 75 to 100 this year, overall in fantasy. That's my thoughts on him, since SGA is going to be out for a little while. But I'll pass you back the ball, since I know you like him this year, LT.
I do. I do like him a lot. The reason why I like him a lot too this year is that I feel like he's going to get a little bit more just opportunity. I think they're going to put the ball in his hands just a little bit more than they did last year. They don't have the Chet Holmgren coming in, taking usage from him, taking those snaps. I'm in football mode. Taking those, I know, right? Taking snaps from him. Taking plays from him. You're not going to have that. I think Josh Giddey's going to really, and it's showing up in his average draft position where you're getting him. If you want Giddey, you have to fourth, fifth, and sixth rounds. If he gets to the sixth round in any of your Yahoo drafts, I am telling you, you snatch him up. That's a good place to get him. But a lot of people have their eye on him this year. That's why he's on my radar. He's on a lot of people's radar. So he's getting snatched up early because he's showing out in the preseason. So you gotta, if you want to, I can't say you can cut a coupon on him, unfortunately. But if you do add him, I think he's going to really. If you're looking for those stats, threes, assists, and potentially top 50 guy per, if he's out there, no injuries, hopefully, then I think Giddey's good to get around in that fifth round. But I'm gonna pass the rock. I haven't passed the rock in a while, man. I'm a little injured. Might blow my elbow out. Here's a pass the rock to you, Starks. So what players do you have?
Yeah, a player for me this year, is my computer's freezing up, but I'll just go off of ISO here, is
Yeah.
Jalen Green.
Okay.
Now, he's been looking very good in the preseason, as we can say, and Houston is going to be running out there. And this is honestly, they're borderline like another wasteland team. The only veteran that sticks out to me, I mean, obviously, like Eric Gordon, right? He is only essentially the other veteran on this team. Now, with the speed that will bring on an offense that's going to, run and gun, essentially, I think this is a player that I'm going to be targeting. And before I get a little bit further on him, I think what LT said was very potent, like on Giddey. You're not cutting the coupon, just like he said, because even when I was saying he's going to probably finish top 75, 100, that's, to me, that's like the safe. And that's where you're drafting him at, like in the 70s. So, I do believe Giddey has an opportunity, even potentially, to give you value at top 50, but you're banging on that in a redraft league, and that's tough. Now, can he do that? He potentially can. But going back to Jalen Green, um, another, like I said, a wasteland team is LT's boy, is Kevin Porter Jr. on this team, and I mean, that's another a guy that you can target in your drafts. But I think as far as Jalen Green is concerned, I, I wanted him last year, right? But I didn't really get him because it seemed like he was getting drafted a lot sooner than later. And the thing is, with rookies, it is tough to gauge at times. I'm just called for what it is. And Green would have been a guy that I probably would have targeted, but for some reason the value didn't really mesh well the way that I liked last year, and I didn't get him in the main league, but he didn't finish too well. Like, I guess as far as the vicinity of his value, what people maybe perceived him as. This year, though, I don't know if you can pull it up, and I'll try to see if I can pull it up. Oh yeah, actually I can. Yahoo has him currently ranked, and I'm assuming most drafters already drafted him this year. He's ranked
Mhm.
62, and that's tough. Like, that's still a little rich. Now, do I believe? So that means okay, Starks, do you believe he'll be like a 6 round value? I mean, I do believe that, but can he finish better than that? And I think that's what's always important when you're in redraft leagues. Now, dynasty leagues, that's fine. Like that's perfectly
Mhm.
fine. You're not going to even second guess that. But in a redraft league, that's a little rich. But I will take the risk on him. You don't want to measure everything out in the preseason because sometimes we get so excited in the preseason to think that's what the player is going to be. And a lot of times it's just like, I know it's like a bad football terminology. We're talking about football again. It's like they give you that vanilla defense out there, or they play vanilla, right? That in the preseason, that's not to say that they're not going to play hard, but they don't give all of their full effort, I would assume, right? But in saying all that, would I draft him at that spot? I think he's a breakout player. So if I project him
Mm.
as a breakout player, I think he's going to potentially be better 60. So he could be a top player for me this year, and what I assume and I think. And playing in Houston, a sniper, and he'll have I would say ball responsibility to assist from time to time. Maybe that might be his mo, but he's a player that I am targeting as a breakout player this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jalen Green has what it takes. If we're looking at Yahoo, he's going around 69,
Okay.
70, pick 70, ESPN a little later. So if you're in those ESPN leagues, you might be able to, wait a little longer. They're not as ESPN leagues in general usually aren't as keen. But again, as I was speaking on my last on the last live stream, Fantrax. So Fantrax is usually where you have some of those hardcore players and fantasy basketball vets. They're picking him closer to the 60 pick, 62. So he's going in those rounds there, fifth, sixth, somewhere in that area. And so if you want him, you're gonna have to pay for him. And I think he's gonna take that next step and leap. What I want to see from him is efficiencies. Just hopefully with this team, they can keep their efficiency in check because he can really be a just like my guy KPJ. That them field goal percentages. Just make sure you keep them mindful of that when you're constructing your teams here in the next couple of days. He may, he may hit you there. So just keep that in mind. Another guy on a couple of other guys on the Rockets. We got to check on this team. This team is full of youth, the fountain of youth, as Mike Guy would say. We're looking at KPJ, another guy who's done really well with Jalen Green, kind of in tandem. They're kind of like they remind me of the old school Lillard, CJ McCollum teams, man. They're just going to be out there scoring, shooting, and doing whatever they want. But another big rookie, Jabari Smith the second. He's usually either him or Piolo, Keegan Murray. These guys are the ones coming off of drafts really early. Jabari Smith is coming off. Let me see if I can find him on this list here. He's coming out early, man. And so you're going to have to spend in a lot of drafts. I've been seeing him go in that fourth to fifth round. Those are where rounds people have already gotten their solid couple of players and they're starting to take shots. So you're going to have to pony up fourth to fifth round. I've seen him go before Jalen Green in a lot of drafts when people are drafting. So he's usually one of the first Rockets to come off the board. And then you also have Tari Eason. Tari Eason is what we call a preseason. I don't know, all-star. I don't know what you want to call it, but he's been killing it coming off the bench. Issue with that is that Jabari Smith's been hurt. He hasn't been playing in this preseason too much. So Tari Eason has gone a little bit more run. My Starks' guy, Jashawn Tate, Tater Tots, he's actually got hurt earlier this week. And so he's been out too during the preseason. He should be active and ready for the start of the season, but he's been out. So Tari Eason got a little bit of extra run. Alperen Sengun is another young player we were all hoping Sengun was going to do good last year. He started off a little slow, but he's also somebody that you're looking at if you're looking at trying to pick up a player, a cheap big man later on in the drafts. He's available as well in those late after 6th round area. So, but that's the Rockets. Did you have any other players, Starks, or
As far as the Rockets or just players in general?
players in general, or did you have
Yeah.
anything about the Rockets there?
No, not on the Rockets, but I will touch up on one of your boys, and I'll probably touch up
Uh
on
oh.
another guy here soon. If
Uh
something that comes up, your boy, the pool shark, Jordan Poole,
oh.
this year.
Here we go.
Now we know that, um, they had the situation him and Draymond, and I'm sure a lot of people seen the video. I think Poole was saying some. I mean, obviously he was saying some stuff to Draymond. I don't know if you know what it was, LT? What happened?
They haven't come out with like official like wording from Poole, like what he actually said, but
Okay.
basically he was what I did read is that he was he was kind of getting after triple one, calling him triple one. No, I'm just kidding. That's because all he gets is he doesn't get anything double digits. Everything's in the ones. But Nah, I'm just kidding. I just can't. They haven't really came out with exactly, but he was talking. He did say something specific to, uh, from what I heard, something that I guess rubbed Draymond the wrong way. So he decided to, let him know. Take pull down a peg is what I heard. What is the wording I saw? So he did that. He did that. He mission accomplished.
so, so there was a couple things. I think the thing I remember for a rumor that was said was he was at the foul line, like in practice, and he shot like
Mm.
an air ball, right? Draymond did. And then Poole was like, I think I forgot what Draymond's Twitter name is, or something like on the money or something like that. And it wasn't he Poole said something like he wasn't on the money on that shot or something. But there was something on top of that afterwards to make, Draymond, swing. But let's get back to fantasy, right? So I just wanted to so
Took him,
Poole,
man.
he finished around the 6th round value last year. And actually, the last 2 months of the regular season of last year, he was inside the top 35 player, averaging 3.5 snipes a game, 5 assists. He's going to be under a steal. He
Mm,
took more shots, close to 16 shots a game, and like he's shooting 90% at the charity stripe. And
mm,
I don't know. I like him. Like his shot is to me is just really smooth. He's different. And it's just like Golden State be getting these players, man. Like I don't it's just it's words that cannot describe how well oiled machine Golden State is. You just got to give respect for what it is. And like him being a
mhm,
young player, just signing that contract, like, yo, just imagine it once I think he's a player eventually, and I know this might sound strange to some. I'm a person that just takes it the bull by the horns. I'm gonna say he's gonna like have the keys to the team in a few years, right? And he'll be the
mhm.
starter. Now he may not start this year, but it doesn't matter. You can come off the bench and still be a monster, right? Let's just say he could
Yeah,
potentially be 6th man of the year. But this
yeah.
dude is no joke. He was a key cog of closing the help in the playoffs massively, and I think it was overlooked because obviously Clay was coming back and stuff, and but let's just call for what it is. Draymond ain't that guy no more. As much as
Mhm,
that could have been another thing that went down in that practice. Poole,
mhm.
I'll be honest, he's probably a little. I get the little sense of cockiness. He is one of them, right? But he backs up. You could tell by his gameplay he backs it up. So respect to him, but like I want to draft him in a lot of my leagues. And I know this might be extreme, but I'm already there. This is the ISO. I remember the first year that I did a draft with LT, and LT had helped me in the fantasy years ago. And I remember LT saying like, "You gonna get your boy Harden, right?" And I'm just like, and the draft was too rich because Harden was coming off the bench when he was on
Mhm,
OKC. By the time we first drafted, he got traded. I'm not saying this situation is going to be the exact same. He got traded and he started, right? But even if he came off the bench, if Harden was still coming off the bench, he would have still provided that 3rd round value. And that's a guy coming off the bench. Now, are you saying, Starks, that Poole is going to be a 3rd round value type of player? I'm not saying that, but I would not be surprised, and that's the thing. He could be. So, long story short, I think he will be an inside he'll be around the range of 40 to 45 value this year.
mm.
I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna take that risk on him this year because Golden State, they don't have nothing else to prove. Like they don't. They won a championship this last year, and why not give him more minutes? And I mean, he averaged even a little bit more the last 2 months, averaging close to 32 minutes a game. And this is a guy coming off the bench. If you're getting that many minutes, to me, essentially, you're still a starter. So I'll pass you the ball if you want to just touch up, or if you got any other players, LT.
Now I got a question for you because in the ADPs in the ADP, let's do a little quick ADP paddle.
Mhm.
ADP battle. Um, You just talked about Jalen Green, right?
Okay.
I have 3 guys here in a row. I want you to tell me right now if you had an availability right around their ADP area, who would you pick up? Jalen Green, Jordan Poole, or Klay Thompson? They're right next to each other. Those 3 guys.
Well, Clay Thompson's easily last, right? I'm going to put him
Okay,
third.
okay, okay. He's going before Poole and Jalen Green in Yahoo drafts right now.
Yahoo, you're on some stuff. That's inaccurate. That is tough because I'm looking at it like they look hand in hand, and then it's
Mhm,
like, well, dang, Stark shit. It's like you're putting Poole ahead of Green. Green
mhm.
has the green light. Ha ha, dad joke. So, which one would I choose? That is tough, man.
It's crazy. You spoke about those two. Those are your 2 guys. They're right next to each other. Right next to each other. Pools going in Yahoo drafts about four spots before Jalen Green. Um, Jalen Green's
Bef-
going extremely earlier than Poole in Fantrax drafts, though.
the floor. Who has the safest floor? Man,
It's gotta be Jalen Green, man. It's gotta be.
it's
He
got
has
to
the
be.
safest floor. It's gotta be him, only because he's starting and he's probably the guy. Um, and Jordan Poole. I mean, I like Jordan Poole. I think everything you said is correct. But Clay's healthy. Clay's healthy this year, and he's got what do you say when prices go up somewhere, but you've been there for a long time, so they let you stay on the old price. What's that called?
I don't remember that.
Grandfathered in. Clay
Oh,
Clay
grandfather.
Thompson's yeah. Clay Thompson's
Like
grandfathered
grandfathered
into
in.
yeah, he's grandfathered in, man. He's missed multiple seasons. He's been gone, but he's grandfathered in, man. He's gonna have
All right.
the minutes. So we'll
So
see.
it seems like I'm backing down, right? I'm going to take Green, right? But
Okay.
I want to believe Poole is going to really break out like this
Yeah.
year. So
I
the
think
safe, I
I think
think.
that's
Go
good.
ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think you can go either way, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can go either way on both of those guys. I listening to you, man, I think you would pick Poole, man. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I know. I know. It sounds like I'm backing down, saying I'm going to go Green, but Poole, man, I don't know. Something
Mhm.
about that guy. It's your boy, and I just like. I remember you was early on him a couple years ago.
Yeah,
He
I'm
must have
big.
had some inconsistent game. But go ahead.
No, I love Poole, man. I like his game, man. I wish he wasn't on the Warriors. I
Oh
think
my
that's
gosh.
my biggest
Just
thing.
imagine if he was on a different team, like he was the starter.
OKC or like any of these wasteland teams, he's an all-star. He's an
Yeah,
all-star.
all-star. And Golden State just
All-star.
got him. Like it of course, Golden State just got
Of
him
course.
late. Like no big
Of
deal.
course. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about one of my sleepers, and I want to ask you a couple questions starts because the first 15 picks, there's uh, a lot of variance here in the first 15 picks. I want to get your ideas of where you feel like these guys are. But one of my breakout kind of comeback player, I won't even say comeback players, but I'm really picking up Siakam in a lot of leagues.
Okay.
He is dropping in some leagues. It looks like ESPN. He's going the quickest. I don't know why, but he is sometimes dropping to the third round. I think I got him in pick like 36 or 34, somewhere in that area in one of my drafts. I think he's a second round talent, man. I think he's second round talent, second round that you can get in the third. He's going like after some of these other guys. Like I take Siakam over Devin Booker. I'll take Siakam over DeJounte Murray. I'll take Siakam over, yeah, you heard it here. Okay. I'll take
What?
Siakam over Cade Cunningham. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. That's how I feel about Siakam. And I think, you know what? It- the issue with Pascal is the injury concern, right? We're worried about some of those injuries. I know a lot of people were worried about Toronto. Toronto is they're are the sweatshops of the NBA. So you know Siakam's good for 33 minutes plus every night if he's healthy. Yes, they do have a newbie. Yes, Gary Trent Jr. is over there. He likes to just shoot the ball crazy, do crazy things. Um, will he repeat as a steals? I don't know. Gary Trent. But anyways, I think Siakam is going to have a crazy year this year. Booker may have been too far. Okay, maybe a little too far on the Booker. Okay, I just wanted to make a point. Okay, I just wanted to make a point, Stark. Okay,
Oh,
maybe a
man.
little too far on the Booker, but I'm serious. I'm serious about. I'd rather have him than DeJounte Murray, and I'd rather have him than Cade Cunningham. And in most drafts, Cade Cunningham and DeJounte Murray are going before him. So I would prefer to have Siakam in those cases. Yeah, Starks, what do you feel about Pascal and him being healthy to start this year, and your thought process of what I said, man?
I need. I'm glad you definitely spiced this episode up. I didn't think we. It's been a while since we went back and forth. I want to just know if you have something to drink or eat over there because something is in that right now, and I'm concerned. You say second round, like this is coming from a guy. Let me help the listeners. LT over the years, I think what has and it's weird because we have a similar but different style when it comes to drafting players. And I think what has hurt you, LT, this is why I think you're in the Kool-Aid so bad, is because you've been getting all these cheap bigs, right? These cheapies, right? So if you get like if there's like a solid center, maybe he's just gonna be like this amazing Superman player to you, right? And that's why you got so excited when you said Devin Booker. This what hurt me. I mean, of course, that hurts my ear to say to hear that. When you said Murray's pomade too, is that what I heard? Did I hear that too? That you would draft him
Yeah,
over
yeah, over
pomade
Dejounte,
Murray?
yes, over Dej yes, over DeJounte
Oh
Murray.
my
I'm
god!
taking I'm taking Pascal Siakam, and listen, he is going in some he is going into the second round in a lot of drafts this year. So that's his like in Fantrax, and I don't know what blend is, blend in. But that's where he's going. But in most drafts that I'm mock drafts I'm going to, people aren't picking him in the end of the second. In most drafts I'm personally in, he falls into that middle, and what I mean in that middle to end of third. And if you're coming back around and Pascal Siakam's available on that, I'm not saying jump in and pick him up in the second rounds, but for where he's dropping to that middle to end of third round, I feel like that's such a good value pick for anybody that is started off. If you're getting him there, you're either have Doncic, maybe you start off with Doncic, you start off with Jason Tatum. That's where I feel like him and Tatum are just to me are such a good combination. And I got Tatum in one league. I feel like they're just where you pick at and where he drops to. I think he just works so well there. But yeah, again, Booker may have been. I'm down on Booker this year. Maybe that not that down. But I'm down on Booker this year. But yeah, that was a little. I wanted to prove a point. I want to drive a point home that I think Siakam has the ability. He can stay healthy. That's the main thing of putting up second round value. But he's going in the second rounds in a lot of leagues. So
Listen, 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 man. Like I think you're gonna have to pay like a premium for him. I mean, listen, if you want to, that I'm gonna leave that to you. I mean, I feel like I've had Pascal the last couple years for some
you
weird
have.
reason. But I, and to each his own. If you, I know you're driving the point. Yeah, when you said Booker, I was like, man, you're really pushing. You're really pushing the envelope here. um, but I will say this: there's two players I would would rather have at a different
Hmm.
value, and that would be Gary Trent Jr. I mean,
Okay.
probably that, and then Scotty Barnes, right from last
Okay.
year. Um, but I mean, I'm not down on Pascal, but I'm also going to say like his usage, I think, is going to continue to regress a little bit just
Mm,
because of the other coming players, right? Because Scotty Barnes, what he had I didn't expect like that. That was a guy I missed in all of my drafts last year.
mm,
That one hurts. He finished. Where's Scotty Barnes? He finished inside the top 70, a rookie, and
mm.
like gosh, I remember Abe getting him. He comes on the episode from time to time. He got him probably like after the hundreds in the redraft league. Like
Yep.
that's a steal, right? Um, but when you have rookies like that in a team like Toronto, for instance, like let's look at it. Pascal is the veteran, so respect, right? So even LT driving the home, so I'm going to side with him on this. When you have veteran, and he's still young, right? When you have a presence like Pascal Siakam, that gives him even still like he's safe. Like he's a safe player, like to draft. If anybody's the safest GM in any fantasy that we play, of course it's Troy. So LT is drinking a little bit of Troy's Kool-Aid just to get a safe player, right? In Pascal's, they call him Spicy P, right? But I think honestly, he's just really just a he's boring. I'm just called for what it is. He's a boring player, fantasy
Boring.
wise.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I went there, So
Okay.
you made it. I guess you just made it more special because you were pushing him hard in the second round. But to be honest with you, when you said
Yeah.
like people will pass on him because you have other players, I think it's because more sexy names stick out, and that's different from you, right? Because you always like the spicy players. But I mean, he Pascal might be spicy to you. I guess here's my question: have you ever, maybe, of course, maybe this year, how many have you had Pascal like throughout the years, LT, in any
I had
drafts?
him. I had him before. I had him before.
Okay, okay,
I had him before, but that was the year I had him. I feel like their team was completely different. So Scotty Barnes wasn't there. Gary Trent obviously wasn't there. Um, I don't even remember who else. I don't think a newbie was even there yet. Maybe when I had him. So I had him a couple years ago. Um, him and Van Vliet are the two that are going in that, between that second and fourth round. Those are the two guys. Scotty Barnes does go usually in the, kind of later in those in that fourth round. Usually you see
okay.
Scotty Barnes go. So a lot of those Raptors go early. First 5 rounds, someone's picking up a Raptor from that starting lineup, and you got to do it. Allen Robinson touchdown. You got to do it with
Seriously?
yeah, exactly for once. And I didn't play him, so that's awesome. So hey, perfect. I didn't play him, so yeah, it doesn't matter. Hey, gotcha, LT.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha, LT. Anyways, but the reason why I like Pascal this year is just where you're getting him. When he came back out of injury last year, I thought OG Anunoby was coming in and taking over like that kind of that spot, and Pascal came back in and said, "Nah, this is my team, dog." And him and Van Vliet were the two. There was a drop off that I saw between them two, Scotty Barnes and Anunoby. Now, if Scotty Barnes takes that next step, then obviously that hurts my predictions this
Okay.
year. But I don't think that happens this year, and I think it's the Siakam Van Vliet show. That's what I think, and they're both gonna. I'm telling you, 35 minutes plus a game is just minimum for that team. For those starters, they're gonna play heavy minutes, and they usually always are in the hunt. And so they even in those later seasons and playoff schedules, they're going to be playing a lot.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will say this: if anybody drafts him, if I was to draft him, I would have to get him like beginning, and it's not going to happen. Beginning in the fourth round or potentially the mid third round. He's not going to be there. I just can't.
He
But
might be.
here's my
He
question to
might
you, LP: do you take Gobert or Siakam right there?
on a third in the third round.
Yeah.
If it's a third round, I'll take Gobert. But Gobert doesn't. He wouldn't make it there. I don't think Gobert would make it there.
All right, cool. Let me throw this at you. Do you take our boy Morbius? Do you take Morbius Mobley or do you take Siakam?
I'll take Siakam over Mobley.
All right, and here's another. I'm gonna throw two more players. Do you take
Okay.
Miles Turner or do you take Siakam there?
That depends on my team makeup, but
Okay,
probably I would take Siakam. But if I already have, that's the thing. If I already have who else is going up there? If I already have Gobert or something with that team or something like that, I'm trying to dominate in blocks. Turner goes up like 5. He's a second or third round pick for me because I'm trying to dominate blocks.
okay. And one more. I want you to put. All right, one more. I want you to put these three big men in order in your
Okay.
preference. DeAndre Ayton, Porzingis, Siakam.
Oh yeah, that's easy. I got Porzingis, Siakam, and then who's the third one?
Ayton.
Aiden, yeah, Aiden's third. I got Porzingis in that spot. In that
Okay.
spot, I would take Porzingis. But
Okay.
but again, the safer pick is Siakam for all
Yeah.
three of those. DeAndre Ayton, I don't trust him to bring back third round value, and then Porzingis, I trust him, but I don't trust his health. So
Yeah.
um, he may play like over or under 50 games this year. What do you think, Starks, for Porzingis, man?
Porzingis, uh,
Over or under 50 games.
I got so much of a heart for Porzingis.
I know, man. I know you love the unicorn, man. I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say hopefully. I'm just gonna just take a whim and say he'll play over 50 games this year.
Man, I hope. I wish.
I
I would
hope.
wish that would be. I wish upon a star. Wish I may, right? But I don't. Man, I've seen him a couple times on my draft, and I just go somewhere else. So
Okay. Now here's a player I just want to talk about. Then I'll just probably touch up on a bust player. But this
okay,
is what I find a little interesting this year. Unless I've like I said, this is me this year for the listeners. I'm trying to get back into the fantasy form. LT is definitely ahead of the game of me. Um, but I don't know if you can check, but is this accurate from what the Yahoo rankings have? Like, do they have Bill at rank 32? Is that my understanding? So if you could
Beal.
check that, but
Yeah, I can check that real quick for you. What they
I
show.
it feels like there's a lot of players that is ahead of him. They got Jimmy Butler. I mean, I can kind of get that, but then it's like John Moran and Garland, and which is my boy Garland Jr., Darius
Hmm.
Garland. Like, if you were to say, "Hey, Stars, do you take Darius Garland or Bradley Beal?" Now I know they're different players, right? But like, just
Hmm.
value in what they can finish at the end of the season. What I feel safer on, honestly, as much as I like Garland, I think the safe thing, if you tell me Bill's going to be healthy the whole season and he plays the whole season, I think I'm still going to take Bill. Like, I don't know
Hmm.
if this is right, but it has Garland ahead of Bill, with a couple
Yeah,
other players.
that's accurate. That's
That's
accurate. Beal
accurate.
is yeah, Beal is from my memory, a couple mock drafts, a couple other drafts I've seen, that plus ones I've done, going at the turn of the third to fourth round.
Wow. And to
Yeah.
me, like, he's a second round player to me.
Hmm. I
So
think that I think it's
go
that
ahead.
recency bias because it's like he didn't play last year,
Yeah.
pretty much. So it's people the rankings kind of show that, and then it's like, does he play this year?
Yeah.
All the games, are they going to be good enough for him to play at the end of the year? Um, this, you like Bill, you like Porzingis. They need each other. If they can pull it off, cool. But the other parts of their roster are kind of weird. So I don't. I'm not a. I like Beal actually, and if you got a team that's really trying to hammer down points, be the best points guy on your team, third round Beal or fourth round Beal is a go. Yeah, it's a go
Man.
route. And you got Tyreek Hill. Get him. Don't collect $200. And if you're trying to dominate in points, because Bill's going to have 30 plus point games often on that team. I think that team's gotten weaker. But as far as they have Kuzma, the Qs, they got Porzingis. Um, I don't even think Rui. I don't think Rui's starting. I don't think Rui's starting, but I don't know if they're gonna win 20 25 games this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. um, but yeah, Gafford, Todd Gibson's over there. Why is he still playing? Taj Mahal, Kispert.
I mean,
Yeah, man.
Got Will Barton, man,
No,
and
yeah, Will Barton he's always, late round pick. He always finds a way to score. Um, but yeah, their team's weaker. Definitely. We went to Denny's. They're having breakfast as well. I just yeah. So if you're looking at Beal, I think he's gonna score a lot of points this year. Again, he has efficiency issues, field goal percentage, so keep that in mind. Porzingis too. They're gonna throw everything at Porzingis that he can handle with that his long his long injury prone feet and legs can handle. And they're going to be great. Your issue with both of those guys is end of the year when you need your studs, your top 5 to 6 round picks to come up for you big in the playoffs. they may not be there. They may not show up as Magic. Hey, they ain't gonna be there, just like Magic Johnson said. So you just gotta be careful with that. But other than that, you know, it's looking uh I don't know, man. I think that's why Bill's falling, and that's why you're kind of looking weird. I picked up Garland in a lot of leagues. I think Garland's gonna have a great year. Um, the Cavs are like kind of like that fresh new thing. Everyone's picking up Cavs early, like Mobley,
Yeah,
Garland, um, Donovan Mitchell. Those guys are getting picked up early and on the Cavs squad within that those first 6 rounds. So a lot of people are going heavy on the Cavs. Oh, Jared Allen's in there too.
yeah. Hey man, hey, Cleveland coming, yo. They trying to
Yeah,
come.
they got a squad. They got a
Yeah,
squad, man, and you gotta be you know what? I think they're gonna. I'm glad we can watch those games for free.
I know.
Yeah, we watch those games for free, man. But yeah, they're gonna be fun to watch, and I think they can be in the East. I think they got a chance. They got a shot, man. They got a
Yeah,
squad. I think they're if Chris Middleton doesn't get it together, get healthy, yeah, man. I think they can really rival the Nets and the Bucks. We'll see what happens when the season starts. Who's good and who's actually good and who's actually not. Um, well, okay. You said you had a bus player, Starks. What's your
yeah.
bus player?
Oh man, as hard as it, I don't. And see, I gotta be. I have to be careful with this because, well, I'm gonna try to dig deeper too, but I'm gonna go to a player like obviously is getting drafted early, what we're accustomed
Mhm.
to. Players been just given longevity. I'm just gonna say the name. I think Chris Paul. This might be the year where he starts to slow down. I love me Chris Paul. He's been consistent. He's not really regressed, honestly, but I think what is he, 36 or 37 years old? Um,
Mhm.
I'm the playoffs. As soon as he turned that next age in the playoffs, it's like he just started turning the ball over. Now that doesn't mean that's what he's going to be in the regular season. I'm going to. Where is he going in Yahoo? I think he is going inside the top 25 still. Hold on. Where?
No, no,
No,
no
no, no.
way.
Excuse me. He's going inside
Start
the
top.
35. 35. Okay, 40. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
stop top 36 of first 3 rounds. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In 12 teams.
I think this is a year I just will. I think okay. I can't say he's gonna, but I mean I've already called it out, so I'm stuck. Right?
Mhm.
He's a bust player because of his age. Is he
Mhm.
still gonna probably be a player inside the top 25? There's a really good chance, but I have to call out maybe one of these players that stick out. I'm this is sucks for Phoenix, man. The year I feel like Chris Paul has the worst luck, man. He had the opportunity in the finals. Sorry, sir. I don't think Phoenix is getting back. Chris Paul, I am sorry,
Mm.
man. I'm sorry what happened to you when they nixed the trade in LA when Kobe was still around and you was about to play with Kobe, get a championship. You go to Phoenix, Devin Booker, y'all was playing well until you came up against Giannis. And I think was they up 2-0 in the finals and they just got beat after that, like 4-2? I can't
Just
remember.
destroyed. Yeah. Just
Um,
destroyed.
so so I mean, well, Starks, why do you think he's a bust player? I mean, he's been safe all of his career. I just think it's just more of his age. Obviously age is nothing but a number is what they say, but I also know like you have to be realistic with yourself. It's going to be a point in time that he is going to bust and start regressing. Um, why would he bust? Well, I guess from my eyes from the playoffs, and I don't want to take that little small dosage of what I've seen because that was just anybody has a bad game, right? Like it happens. Players gonna like stars always have like a couple bad games here and there, but he was looking a little bit slower. Is he still going to be the gritty dog and still do great things? Yeah, I mean he's still going to be a top 50 player. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But where he's getting drafted, 35, I mean, I can't, I won't, I'll pass. I'll pass on him. That's all I got. I know, so the listeners be like, well, Milan Starks is not enough. You're right, that's not enough, but I just called it best for you.
He's so Chris Paul. It's funny you mentioned Chris Paul. He's in that as we mentioned Troy. I know if he's watching, if he ever watches this, he'd be like, I'll get why you keep bringing me up. But he's one of those Troy players, man. If you're doing a punt points team, so like maybe like a Tyrese Halliburton type of team. If you're doing a punt points, Chris Paul's like a solid guy in that third or fourth round. If you're punting points, if you're not punting points though, understand that his involvement in this offense is purely to set people up and get people in the right position and to play decent defense and get some steals here and there. But I really don't think his day. I really think his days as one of those top line fantasy steal artists. I don't know. I think this is the year where he regresses in that stat line. I
Mhm.
don't know if he gets those high. You get him because he can get you two average two steals a game. In his prime fantasy, when he had the cape on, the Batman cape on. But I don't know if he's going to give you that this year. I think that goes down. Also, Drew Holiday, I put him and Drew in the same area. Those guys are safe point guard bets in that third or fourth round turn. Um, I see a lot of people pick those guys up just to get add some stability to their squad. If they've gotten somebody that's like an Anthony Davis, you pick Anthony Davis, you take a flyer on him in the second. The last thing you want to do is pick up somebody in the third that's going to maybe also miss time. So Drew Holiday is another guy. Yes, he has some injury issues when he was or some um, out of league issues, stuff that he had to deal with and going on, but he's been relatively healthy as he come back and he's ready to go. No Chris Middleton means that his offensive production is going to increase in the beginning of this year as well. And we know Middleton is out at least probably until end of next year. So those are things that we just gotta keep in mind. I like Chris Paul this year. I'm not down on him, Starks, but I'm also not excited about him. I'm never excited about Chris Paul. I don't think I've ever picked him in any league I've ever had. I don't think I've ever gotten
Wow.
Chris Paul. Yeah, I don't. It's just one of those guys where I never play that style. Um, I never played fantasy in that style. That he's one of those players where if you get him, you're getting him because you're really leaning into that no points punting type of thing. And I like to see points on my board, man. That's just me. I like to pick players for points in fantasy and try to win that way with other stats and other ways. But Drew Holiday, I prefer Drew this year. So I do. I'm with you, Stark. I prefer Drew over Chris, and he's going like one or two spots. But in Yahoo, Chris Paul's going like 7 spots earlier than Drew. So I would take Drew over Chris.
Okay, nice, nice. Do you have any bus players?
I don't know if I have. Let me see. Let me take a quick look of any of these top guys that. Oh yeah, I do have one. Not a. But I don't. I just think that you got to quell expectations on
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell. On Donovan Mitchell, I just
Yeah.
don't. I just listen. He's going before Garland. I don't agree with that. I
Oh,
think Garland is the better player this year in a
oh,
category league. Yeah,
okay.
points leagues, maybe Donovan, maybe in points leagues, but in a category style league, a lot of things that Donovan does well is score. Is he going to be more efficient this year? I don't know. I don't. I bet not. I bet he's still inefficient on a per game basis for those field goal percentages. Is he going to still score? Yeah, they still. That's why they brought him over here to have a solid scorer in crunch time. But Darius Garland has taken multiple steps, and I feel like he is almost okay. Listen, do not quote me on this, but he's like the new-ish Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? He does it. He does everything well. He's a great point guard. He gives you those high tier assists that you're looking for in those second to third to fourth rounds. And he's on a good team, and I think that's the other thing. There's enough talent around him to facilitate those assists. So he'll get those high assists. Sometimes when you get like point guard players in bad teams, even though they have the ability to. This is Lillard. I feel like this is a Lillard thing too. Lillard had great assists early on. He had great teammates around him, people knocking down shots. And as those teammates withered away, I seen him. He was passing the rock, but people weren't making shots. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how good you are as a point guard. If the people you pass to can't score with it, it's not going to matter. So I think Darius Garland's around so much talent. I think that pick and pop with Mitchell is going to be devastating. I think Jared Allen, picking Evan Mobley, he's just surrounded by so many great. He can be that, 18 to 20, almost average close to 10 assists a game. I think that's Garland this year. And so I think he does better than both those guys, Donovan and Chris Paul this year.
That's very that's a good one. Mitchell, man, like I will say this, I know it was one of the ones with a few other people that looked at Mitchell in dynasty formats, and I was like, I think this guy's going to be a good player, and he definitely has. That doesn't mean I get him right because I get a lot wrong too. Um, but he was definitely one of the ones that I believe I was able to get it right. The frustrating thing, because I feel like I've always tried to get Donovan Mitchell. He's rich. He's definitely rich this year. You got to pay. You know what I mean? You got to pay. Essentially, ever since his rookie year, you got to pay every year for him. But some of the years there has been disappointment, right? Because coming out, I have to look. I don't know how far I can go back. I'm assuming maybe 2017. Maybe I don't know. Do you know what year he came out of? Is it 2017, 2018? I can't remember. But
That's a good question.
and as you look, just let me know. He finished like top 40, and then excuse me, top 50, 54ish. But every single year after that, he stayed there. He stayed like a little bit outside the top 50. All of those years, ever since his rookie year. 2017? Okay,
2017.
perfect. So he finished top 54. Amazing for a rookie. Amazing. So then after that year, you're like, shoot, I have to pay this premium. But he's gonna blow up even more. And typically in fantasy or even the NBA, when you have a rookie and they come out the year, when 3 years they're supposed to be like after their third year, there's like I forgot what the value or how they break it down in the fantasy analytic community, but they're supposed to be like this amazing player, right? If they already have this potential. And to be honest, he finished 54 first year, 56 the next year, 54 again, and then last year 46. I mean, that's a little bit better. Or excuse me, not last year, the year before that, 46. And it's like, yo, are you going to finish top 25? Because you've been valued at that like every draft, every year, and you did not give the returns. So where LT is saying is he's not really wrong, you know what I'm saying? Because he has not been that player. Now, I will say this, because one thing that I've been saying over the years, what has frustrated me about Donovan Mitchell is, to me, in my opinion, he needs to get to the charity stripe more. He needs to get to the free throw line more. I don't know why. I mean, he takes a lot of shots. Don't get me wrong. I like to pump up the volume. LT knows that. But it's like, yo, I'm not saying be like Harden back in the day, but drive to the hole more, figure out the way to draw contact to get to the charity stripe. And I would think over the prediction that I made years ago, okay, maybe potentially for him to get better, he's going to get to the foul line more attempts. He hasn't done that. It's been essentially the same. But last year, how did he finish inside finally the top 25? How? Well, let's look. What did he improve in? His minutes has been relatively the same. His threes, his points. What has really made his value jump up? I'll tell you what his value is. LT had touched up on his field goal percentage, rose up a little bit last year, and his steal rate. When he came into the league, he was known for his defensive prowess. Like that's what he was expected for. So when he started scoring, that changed the whole dynamic of the player. And when he did that, you would think, oh, shoot, he's going to automatically be a good player. But that's the issue the last few years. His steal rate went down. Now, last year, he finished his steal rate of 1.5 steals a game. The question is he going to stay at 1.5 or more this year? If he does, then it's worth it. But I don't know if that's going to be him, because one thing I'm excited for is he is going to pump up the volume. I understand LT had mentioned there's all the players there. That Cleveland is a talent there, right? They have players, but I think he's going to be jacking up a lot of shots regardless. Like they paid him the money. Cleveland went to go get him. You'd be surprised. I think we're honestly surprised that he went to Cleveland. Like I didn't see
super
that.
surprised.
That's crazy. Then his last, I think maybe that was his last preseason game in October 12th. He took 26 shots. That's pump up the volume. Like, I'm all for that. I don't care if you're missing them. And he was missing them. He only made 8 of those shots. Understands the preseason game. I definitely understand that. But will I pay the premium? That's the question. Because LT's like, we got to kind of quell, and this is like, got to be careful of this put this bust connotation on this player. Um, I was agreeing with LT, but then I was like, I'm probably still agreeing with LT. I just think I'm just like, man, I'm probably gonna have a heart still for him, even regardless, because he was my guy, right? But if you're gonna pump up the volume, which I do believe he definitely is he worth the player to draft? Is he inside the top 25 that you got to probably draft him? I'm assuming LT. I don't know if you could check that on Yahoo real quick.
Yeah, you can. He's in the Yahoo's. He's 25. He's right in there, 24, 25. Fantrax, he's top 30.
And just like LT was saying, Garland, love Garland Jr. Man, like
20,
that's like
20.
I got both my boys, like they backcourt, like that's
Yeah.
my favorite
That,
backcourt.
yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure you like that backcourt now. 25 is I don't know, man.
It's
I don't know
rich.
if that's rich. You're completely going for Donovan Mitchell's like height, like his best season he's ever had. He's gonna have it this year. I just can't say that I feel like that's gonna be the case. I think he's gonna be good for. I think in regular. I think he's gonna be better for real basketball, but for like fantasy purposes, I don't think he reaches that top 25 this year. Me personally, the Jazz last year were they got so much injuries going on back there last year. It was just Donovan, man. It was just Donovan. He was out there doing it all. So you know what I'm saying? I think I think I think I again, I don't think I think he's a good if he fell to me and like where Siakam was going in some of these drafts I had like middle third, end of the third round,
Mhm.
I would grab Donovan Mitchell every time. But the fact that he's going in like the second round, like into the second, sometimes I see him go like second round as someone's second round pick. I'm
Mhm.
like, I can't do that. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
That's 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 honest. I'm 50-50. I'm scared to draft. Like you said, it's rich. Like you're paying what you expect. And if you don't get that, there's a good
Mm,
chance he can fall back in top
back.
50 and you ain't gonna get
Yeah.
that top 25 value for this year. And this is
Oof.
this is why I kind of lean on I believe he could be potentially like we're not so I don't want to make it seem like we're just calling him a bust player. I think it's like
Mhm.
perceived like we don't think they're gonna finish at that value, right?
Yeah.
Because the thing that sticks out to me looking at his past years if this is two things that's a big if. We know he's going to take a lot of shots. But here's the thing will he average over 1.5 steal a game? And then
Mm,
will he be shooting over 45-ish percent? Like,
mhm.
I don't know. That's tough. Like he's not like a efficient shooter. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So
Yeah.
that's the tough thing. So if he does not up his free throw percentage, if he doesn't have his steal rate to be the same or even better, then you're not going to get that value. Like that's just real. You can't dance around that. In the last 2 years prior to that, he was only averaging a steal. That's Damian Lillard, right? Like
Mhm.
only averaging a steal. And Damian Lillard struggled most of his career in the beginning of getting a steal a game, right?
Mhm.
Kind of like Poole. Poole's not a steal artist either. So you're like, where did those steals go? So if he does that, which I don't think he is, because they're going to give him the keys to shoot, he's going to be tired, probably too tired to play defense also. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with LT. Now I'm going to transition and say there is one player I'll leave and then we can get to the clutch outer unless you have someone else. A bust player that I think it's going to happen. I think this one might be a little bit better.
Uh-oh.
A safe. Oh, God, you said something.
No, no, no. I said, uh-oh.
Okay. A safe player. He's been safe all these years. A player. This is another player. This is another player we when I first drafted with LT, got him late, and he's been very well all through his career. Center Nikola Vucevic. I think he's a bust this year. Why do I
Uh,
call him a bust this year?
oh, Vooch.
Yeah, Vooch has been a safe, very solid big man. Now he finished inside the top 30 last year. Here's my concerns. You play for Chicago. Chicago is a good team. That's not a knock on them, right? So you think, well, if he plays on a good team, better stats, he should be a solid player. Well, here's the issue. When you finish inside the top 30, he's been relatively a top 25-ish player or better. And actually, he's been top, let's put it this way, he's been top 15 or top 20 or better the last 3 years. In two of those years, he was almost inside the top 10. Really good. And he's, I think, valued in Yahoo. You can correct me if I'm wrong, LT, at 36. So you're going to
Mhm.
pretty much essentially draft him, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like mid or early third round for a
Yep.
center. That's typically fine, And actually, you would think you're cutting a coupon. Here's the thing. Wait, there's more. Is what the saying goes, right? He finished inside the top 30. Cool. Okay, you're cutting the coupon. No, maybe you're not. The last 2 months of last year, he was outside the top 50. Well, what happened? His minutes crept down a little bit. His snipe, he went from 1.4 threes a game to 1.1. His rebound rate went down. He was an 11 rebound last year. In that last 2 months of last year, uh, he was under 10. Okay. His block rate went down. His field goal percentage went up. Cool. But also, here's another thing: his usage rate has slowly crept down.
Hmm.
Usage rate, you can do the formula in a lot of different ways, but that is typically tied in with turnovers and field goal attempts. And his field goal attempts has crept down over the years. He was only averaging less than 16 last year, right? The year prior before that was only 20 a game, or it was more. It was 2 and 20 a game. And then even in his Orlando days, he was shooting like close to 17. So those things that I look at and pay attention, because I think this is maybe the time. And I'm not saying he's going to be a sorry player or anything. He's still going to be relatively good. But we got to find a bust player. I think where you're paying him at, can he finish inside the top 35? He should. But I'm
Hmm.
looking at this player and I think there's a regression that's coming his way.
Yeah, I mean, the law of averages says that he is old.
Yeah.
With that being stated, we will go ahead and I just, I think he will still be decent. I think he'll still be serviceable. But like you stated before, I just feel like in that area of the draft, I'd rather have Evan Mobley. So,
Yeah.
and he's going before Evan Mobley. So you got to think about it. If you're in that position and someone didn't already jump on Evan Mobley, someone didn't already jump on DeAndre Ayton, someone didn't already jump on Porzingis, you got to think in your head, like, do I want Valanciunas or do I want to take a flyer on a younger guy who will have maybe even more usage than Vucevic does on a team in which is up and coming, which is the Cavs. I would take Mobley over Vucevic. It's just one of those things where a lot of people like safe players, and he's a safe floor player. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a safe. Yeah, Vucevic is a safe floor, and so it depends on your style. A lot of people will get him because he's just a safe floor. So but I just want to ask you just real quick, man. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you a couple questions here, and then we can get to our kind of final shots here. Um, so I want to get your idea in the first round. There's like top five. I want to see if any of these don't belong to you. If you feel like they do belong and they sound correct to you. So of course we have Nikola Jokic, we have the Greek Freak, we have Luka Doncic, we have Joel Embiid, we have Kevin Durant. Anybody there, that's top five. Does anybody there you feel like should be taken out? Someone else should be put in.
So Jokic, Embiid, Durant, Greek, freaking Luca, right?
Jokic. Yeah, those are the top
Jokic.
five right there. Yeah. Those are the
That
top
should
five.
probably.
And those are who are going normally 1 through 5 in drafts.
So
The notable people not going top five is Harden. Do you feel like Harden should go in for Durant or Doncic, or do you think those are the top five?
I I feel like there's a player. Okay, this is going to make people very angry. Dynasty format. Yeah, this is going to obviously make someone angry. Luka Doncic in a dynasty format, this makes sense. Obviously, he's probably going to be one. Let's just call for what it is. In a redraft league, and this is where people are going to be angry. Luka should not be a top 5 player in redraft. I don't think so. I've been and I love Luka, and I know like it's gonna offend some people on here. I love Luka. I'm not saying he's terrible. I mean, he's obviously like an MVP type of caliber player, and I know he's been doing well in the preseason. But this is what I've been saying over the last years. He was been being drafted even I think last year like number one player or in fantasy, even probably the year prior before that. But he hasn't cracked uh, inside the top 10, inside the top 15. Period. Period. That's a hard pill to swallow. And I know there is some fanboys for Luka, and I love you guys. And I'm sorry if that is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Now, I might say, well, Starks, are you saying he's not going to finish inside the top 10 or inside the top 15 or even top 5? I am not saying that, but I'm looking at what is the likelihood of him finishing in the top 5. I I would rather. So who would I replace now? Harden? No, he's not going to be a top 5 player. I think those days are over. Right? I love
Okay.
Harden still. I don't think he unless he got in shape this year. I heard that he got in shape, but
I
I'm still
heard he
concerned.
looks good. He's looking spry.
He's looking spry. Um. So to stop dancing, the top 5, I would probably take Luca out. Okay, Greek
Okay.
Freak I think is safe. Durant. The issue is we know injury history. If he's healthy, he could be a number one player.
Mhm.
Joker, perfect. We know we don't have to worry about that. It's obviously KD is the health concern. Luca, so okay, it would be probably out of those two people, right? KD or Luca, right?
Mhm.
So why would I take KD because of injury history, right? If I'm okay, so if you tell me, well, Starks, do you think KD, if KD was healthy, then that's a safe bet. But since I'm concerned about the health injury, the history, then it would be between KD and Luca. So I think I'm just going to take Luca out, and I
Okay.
just since I'm
Okay.
already stuck here. All right, and who would I replace him with? That would be the question. I think I would just put Curry right there instead.
Curry.
That's what
Okay.
I have on my 5.
Okay. Curry out. Okay. That's interesting. That's super interesting. I don't agree. But the
Okay.
only reason why I don't agree is because I think Luca. I think Luca this year with the team he has this year will be better. But that's just me projecting my thoughts on what I think will happen and not what has happened. But I
Real
think,
quick,
yeah,
do you think he finished inside the top 5 this year?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think he finishes inside the top 5 this year. I think he finishes inside the top 10, but not the
Okay.
top 5. I
Okay.
wouldn't pick Luca in the top 5. If I had the third or fourth or fifth round pick, I probably wouldn't get Luca. I think I had the sixth pick, or I think I had the seventh pick, and Harden fell to me, so I just went ahead and picked up Harden. And I can't even say fall because Harden sometimes goes before Luca, and sometimes Luca goes before Harden. So it depends on the players in your league. And then the next little 5 here is Jason Tatum. You already said Curry's out, but Jason Tatum, Curry, Harden, Trey Young, and Carl Anthony Towns. Do you feel like Tyrese Halliburton is a top 10 to 12 player?
This is the player that I like me some Halliburton, but and I know he's got the keys so called in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
If we were talking about a bust player at his value, what they're perceiving this guy as, he's a potential bust, right? I don't.
Ooh.
I like Halliburton. Don't get me wrong. I don't know.
Ooh.
In my opinion, he should not be in the tier. And I know he's like, well, shoot, we might as well. It only makes sense because to put him in the top 10, since he has the keys, he finished inside the top 25, so maybe he's going to play better. But I'm not there yet. I still feel it's a little sensitive to me. I don't think he's earned that in my opinion. But I
Yeah.
also understand how he could. Is there a good possibility that he is in that group that he warrants that? Potentially. But do I think he will this year? I don't think so, LT. I'm just not with that right now, man. And plus he's got a little ailing injury right now, but he can definitely finish inside the top 10. For me, I'm going to fade on that for this
Okay.
year. I hope he proves me wrong. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. Tyrese Halliburton has been going consistently in drafts I've seen, as well as this in the top 10, in that and sometimes in that 12th spot turnaround for that last, if you're in 12 team, that 12 team guy usually goes Tyrese Halliburton, Towns sometimes, Tyrese Halliburton, Lillard. Lillard's been dropping in a lot of drafts too to that end of first round. He's available in most leagues. Trey's going before Lillard. Curry sometimes I've seen Curry go late too in some drafts.
What?
Yeah. I've seen Curry, LaMelo. Now things have changed a little bit because LaMelo got hurt.
Yeah.
But before, I mean, LaMelo was going before everybody, so the LaMelo was really going early. So I wanted to get your idea because the first round is a little bit is very weird this year, and I know we always talk about loving to wait till that last pick,
Mhm.
getting that end of the round pick to get that turnaround, and it's very high capital this year for great players that had bad years last year. Are not they're people who are picking like 8 to 12 or getting just stealing players, I feel like. So just keep in mind if you got a draft, you're in that last round area. Me personally, Lillard looks like a good pickup. He's on a mission this year to prove that he's good. You're looking at Kyrie Irving, I feel like, is another guy that slips and falls in the early second rounds. I think he's a first round talent. It's just the outside of the, outside of the game issues. And they're not worried about that too much this year. There's no restrictions on the games he's playing. So he's also another high minutes guy too. He played the most minutes on that team last year when he was in. So just keep that in mind that he does play. When he plays and plays as well usually. LeBron James too. You can get him in those like the middle of second round still, and he usually brings back pretty good value. So
I mean, so like that's another thing. Listen real quick. I take LeBron over him.
mhm.
I would take Pomade Murray over him.
You take Pomade
I
Murray?
would take
I don't know
Pomade
about
Murray.
that.
Yes, that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
I
know
think this
about
is yeah. I'm
that.
going hard. That's that. When I seen that, I'm glad you brought him up. That Halliburton, that value is so rich. Like I don't
I
know.
wanted I wanted to know your I've always wanted to ask you about that because I was surprised when I first started getting into it and I was doing mock drafts. I'm like, man, my man Tyrese, listen, I know he can sing, but man, he's really
Okay,
going he's really going very high in these drafts. I know
really going baby
he's like
boy
a
on him.
triple, yeah, baby. I know he's doing triple double. I know what he did last year. I know he's on a bad Indiana team, a bad Pacers team. I get it. But I just feel like it's too rich. Now I got him in the second round of I think in one of these I got him in the second round, mid second, almost,
Okay.
so I felt like I felt a little better taking him on a hardened team, which I felt like would be great. But overall, like he was going like top 8, top 9. I've seen him go. And so it's crazy to me.
And he's going ahead of Lillard too, right?
Yeah, he's going ahead of Lillard. He's going ahead of John Morant. To be honest, in most leagues too, he in the beginning he was going earlier. He's now like end of the first, beginning of the second. So like that 12 to 15 range, I've seen him go. But still, he's going before Lillard in a lot of drafts. He's going before John Morant. He's going before Booker, Davis, Kyrie, Paul George. Uh, all of those guys. He's going before all of those guys. And he's even going before LaMelo now because of the injury. And I would take LaMelo before Tyrese Halliburton, even with that injury concerns.
That's yeah. That's too rich. I'm glad you brought
Yeah,
that up. Man. That's too rich, man. I mean,
yeah.
that's
But
not
that's
to
all
say
I
he
had.
ain't. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's all I had. No, but what were you about to say?
No, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying that he can't finish inside the top 10, but or 12 or whatever. But
Hmm.
I'm cool. I'll let someone take that risk, man. He should be a good
Yeah.
player this year, though, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm. All right. Did you have any more questions on hand, or that was it?
No, that was all I had. I can next time I'll think of some more. I'll have some written down
Okay.
for you, but
Yeah, that
those are
that
all
was
I
a
have for now.
yeah, that's definitely good. But yeah, even like I know LeBron is like value is probably down, but my gosh, like he gets finer with age, man. You had him. What you have him last year, right?
Yeah, I had him last year. He was putting in work for me, man.
Golly. I've
Absolute work.
I've never had I don't think I've ever had well, I never really had LeBron on the team. And felt like he was like in fantasy looking at his
He was
stats.
he
It
was
was crazy how he finished,
it was
man.
crazy last year. And he played a lot of games last year. It wasn't I didn't
Yeah,
feel at any point in time. I think he got hurt once, but like I never feel at any point in time I was like, man, I don't have LeBron. It was like he was there a lot last year. He played a lot of games last year, I feel like, for him.
right. So we'll go ahead and get to the clutch shots. And I guess my clutch shot is gonna be a question, and it's
Okay.
gonna be like what I also will probably what I think too. This is weird. You remember last year, LT, Anthony Davis in the preseason, he was hitting snipes. He was looking so good. He was looking so good. He was fooling us. I was like, well, shoot, man, he's looked pretty
Yeah,
good, right? I got him in the
yeah.
secondary league. I think you got him in the main league, and then you you ended up trading him, right? Or something like that. I can't remember. But he's supposed to be. I think he said in one of his tweets, or I don't know. He said he plans on playing the whole year. Okay,
The whole year.
I heard him say that the whole year. So, so the
That's
question that I
funny.
want, yeah, that my question for you, and he played 40 games last year, by the way. um, ah, how do you value Anthony Davis this year? Like where, like what is your thoughts? I just want to know what your thoughts about. Like how would you value him this year, and would you draft him, LT?
I would draft him. So
Okay,
there's that.
okay.
Um, he's such a risky. He's maybe one of the riskiest players to draft this year. One of the riskiest players to draft. I don't know if there's. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Maybe Zion is risky. The way he plays, the way he just plods on that foot, just over and over and over again makes me scared. Every time I see him, I get scared. If I had him in my draft on my team, I'll be scared every single time. But yeah, I am completely worried about Anthony Davis. But I think I think you draft him. I think you draft him with the idea and understanding that he may be gone at any point in time. So the rest of your draft needs to be safe. You know, you may need to pick up Valatunis on that next round. You may need to pick up some other players that you know are, maybe Mikal Bridges, players you know are going to be there, show up just in case something happens to AD. You don't have him one week. We were talking about it. Thomas Bryant, right? On the Lakers. If AD were to go down, Thomas Bryant would jump in there and play a lot more minutes. So you can maybe look to pick him up, or just make sure if AD gets hurt, everyone's going to go grab Thomas Bryant probably. But you just want to be sure. But I think he can. I think he can return second round value, and that's where he's going in most drafts. I think he can return first round value if he can stay healthy. So he has the, with the blocks, he's playing center this year, the blocks, the points, the efficiencies, everything. I think he can really drive home your fantasy team. And if you compare him with someone that's going to also, dominate, like I seen some Towns AD combinations out there in some of the drafts I've been in. Um, I've seen some Trey Young AD combinations that I've seen some out there. He's just if he's healthy and he's on, he's a game changer. But again, the injury risk is so tough. You have to if you pick AD, if you decide to hit that draft button, you have to understand that the rest of your season is managing that guy and his injuries and make sure your team is ready for that. Because a lot of people don't. They don't plan for that. And you have to. Like I saw the writing on the wall early and I traded AD. I traded him quick because he looked a step slow. He looked sluggish. he looked he just looked off, man. He just looked like he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be out there. And so as soon as I saw that, I said, yeah, he gotta go. He gotta go. So, and he ended up getting hurt that year. I'm not saying that I I saw it coming, but I saw it coming. So it's one of those things where um definitely play it, but I would still pick him if he drops, like if you're one of those like if you're a Tatum drafter, if you are a Towns drafter and you want to dominate on the big man stats, um, he's appealing. I would pick him up on that turn in the second round. Do I pick him up in front of LeBron? Probably not. I'll probably get LeBron first. But if you have a team that's going to be good at free throws, Bron can hurt you there a little bit. He does take a lot of free throws. He's not the greatest there, so he can't hurt you in that aspect. Um, that's his main issue. Turnovers too. If you're trying to, not doing many turnovers, AD is going to be better than all those other percentages. So that's the issue. AD can't. He doesn't hurt you in free throws. He's
Yes,
not
he
going to,
does.
turn. You think so? He
I
does. Where
think
is
I
that?
think he does now. I think he does a little bit now. He's
Okay. Oh,
shooting
he
like
does now. What 70? What?
71%.
Uh, I thought he used to be better than that, right?
Yeah, he did
Like
used to be
used
better
to
than that. He's
before.
been regressing there.
He's been
He's been
regressing. Golly.
regressing there.
Uh, hopefully he gets back
Hopefully.
to
Yeah.
because he's got to be a better than a 71, like at least a 76. I mean, man, 77, something like that. Okay, well then forget it. LeBron before AD for sure. But AD gets you the blocks. That's the big thing, right? The blocks,
Yeah.
the potential blocks. You can pair him with Towns. You can pair AD with like a Turner or just someone else that's a Gobert. You probably can't get Gobert in Davis unless you go first round Davis or something. But just if you pick them up, just understand that you're gonna be holding your breath the whole year. And it's not gonna be fun, but it might be exhilarating at the same time. If you're a thrill seeker, go ahead and pick up AD this year. What do you is that are you agree or
Uh, I I'm not touching Anthony Davis this year, man.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was
Um,
gonna say that.
like you made it clear, LeBron. Like I'm gonna take
Yeah,
LeBron over him, man.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel safe picking LeBron. And it's sad, like I feel better to get LeBron. I mean, like you said, that you would think, and I understood like the charity stripe, like you because we're normally in our mind like he's a pretty good free throw percent
Mhm.
shooter. No, he actually isn't anymore. I
Yeah,
mean,
wow,
it's like
wow.
I don't want to believe that. Just like you, I don't want to believe it. Kind of like remember when Russell Westbrook was always an 80% fair charity stripe shooter.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying he's the next coming of Russell Westbrook tanking at the charity stripe. I ain't saying that. But I want to also believe, like LT, and I know I'm making, I know this would be the episode people are gonna be mad because I talked about Luca and I've talked about AD. Those is like two players a lot of people love in the fantasy. And I would say this: I'm not the biggest AD fan. I'm a Luca fan. I'm not really too much of a big AD fan, but I would draft. I drafted him before, even in his rookie year, which was amazing. But I understand people will say, "Oh, he's out. If he's out there, he's good. He performs. He does. He gets his blocks. He gets his steals." But here's the thing that me and LT seen in the preseason. We thought he was going to be taking snipes. I'm hurt.
Mhm.
I'm hurt. You know why I'm hurt? He shot. I think if this is correct, he shot under 20% at the charity or no at the snipe line. Under 20%. That ain't no NBA average. That might even be worse than Russell Westbrook. That might be worse than that potentially. So with that said, of course he feels this and I know I'm nitpicking because he feels the categories in each other, like the needed ones, the one that we need a lot with points. You get points and then the blocks that he averaged 2.3. You can't just get that from any player and score at the same time. You that's why he's so good. But yet, just like LT said, he was looking a little sluggish last year. But I don't also want to believe that's how he is. Like he can't be that player, or is he? Or is he really that player? Now, if he says he plans on playing the whole season, yeah, we'll see. But I'm passing on him, this year. So that's my
Career
clutch. Oh, go ahead.
career 80 career 80% or 79.4, man, career. And so yeah, you're right. Yeah, 71.3 last year, man. He has to be closer to that 79, man.
But
Career
okay, no,
79
the year
free throw.
before that, the year before he shot 3. Is that right? But he got
Yeah, the year
61
before
last
it
year.
was it was 84 in 2020. Then he went down to 73
Yep.
and then 71 the last 2 years.
Last thing I was gonna say is like we don't think he's the 70%, low 70s. We think more 79 to 80, but is he really the 79%, 80% free throw percent shooter? Is that really him
Yeah,
anymore? That's all
anymore,
I
right?
got. What's your clutch
Yeah,
shot, man?
no.
I'll pass you
Clutch shot. So my clutch shot, I wanted to talk about some later a later guy. Um, and you know what? Actually, no, I'm gonna change my clutch shot. There's two players that I really like this year. I'm just gonna talk about those two players real quick. I love Bane this year as well. Players that I want to talk about is Bane and Tyler Hero. Those are two guys I know Starks knows I like. Bane this year. I think he's the second guy, man. I think he's the second guy over there in Memphis. I don't know if you guys know Jaren Jackson Jr. He's actually going to be out for maybe the first month, 2 months. Is a 4 to 6 month surgery, or return from surgery for him. They're saying they think he's good for the first 4 months. Who knows? If he'll be back or not. But um, this is Bane's team, man. Aldama on that team will be starting at power forward for you guys who like your cheapy bigs at the end of the draft. But I think Bane's gonna be that guy, that second scorer. One of the things that I was looking at is that Dylan Brooks, his shots in the preseason. Guess who went ahead of him? Bane. Bane was taking more usage and more shots than Dylan Brooks in the preseason. So I think we're finally going to see Dylan Brooks take a step back this year because we know he loves to just. Sometimes he has more shots than Morant, right? Sometimes he has from Ja Rule. Sometimes he has the most shots on the team. But maybe I think they maybe talk to him like, hey, listen, you're in there for defense, man. You're the Draymond Green of our team. We want you in there for defense. Yes, you can hit a shot here, shot there, but this is John Morant, Bane. This is who we want scoring the rock. So hopefully that's what changes. That's what I like. Bane was good last year too. That's why he's going in that fourth to fifth round right now, on average. But I think he's gonna. I think he can get better. I think he can get better on that team. We know that team is
Wow.
electrifying to watch. I think he can be better than that. He gives you everything you need from a shooting guard, small forward area. So again, look out for Bane and then Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, I think he's going to be. He's starting. He's starting this year. I think he's going to be a great pickup, man. I think he has the opportunity. He's going to be scoring a lot. I think Jimmy Butler, I think he takes a step back this year. Not saying that he's not going to be good, but I think Jimmy Butler's getting old, man. You see him doing the hair thing, Starks. He's changing his hairstyle, wearing dreads, got braids. I think I think he's slowing down on the tank. He's starting to do goofy stuff. And so I don't know about Jimmy Butler, man. He's still going to be good. But you look at that team, man. They're old. Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, um, don't Bam out of Bio's not older, but he's more of a he's been in the league for a while. I just think that Tyler Hero is one of the they need him to score in order for them to be successful. So they're going to be putting him in positions to score every night. And with him starting this year, he's going to have even more opportunities to do so. So and then again, Lowry and Butler, those are the other two guys on your team you're looking for points. I think I like Tyler Hero to lead them in scoring throughout the season.
Ooh, that's interesting. Unless I'm
Yeah,
reading this wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. Tyler Hero had 4 block performances Wednesday night.
man, that's a he did, but that's a come on, man.
That's an outlier. I know.
That's an
I
outlier,
know.
man. I'll listen. I'm not gonna go on record to say he's gonna be a block average per game hero. If he does, he definitely will be up there if he starts blocking shots. But I just think but again, with him being starting, he's just going to be in more positions to dominate. You think about what he does on a permanent basis when he comes off the bench. He's that sixth man. Just the fact that he's starting now I just love that opportunity, man. And he is going in drafts like that. I've also been in very heavy drafts. So Tyler Hero in our league, he goes. People love he's not a secret, so he
Yeah.
always goes earlier than I feel like he should in our leagues. But I like him. I like him where he's at on ADP wise for Yahoo and Fantrax. Just go ahead and ESPN too. Just grab him if you need a scorer. And to be honest with you, scorers. And I think he has all good percentages too this year. I think he really takes a step forward.
I'm with that's a really good one, LT. last thing I was gonna say, like Hero, if he let's look at something here. If he's like legit trying to step his defense up, that's actually music to my ears, right?
Mhm.
Um, I mean, obviously we know he's a scorer, but if
Yeah.
he is averaging, it's still I gotta pull up his statistics. He's never
Okay.
been a person to average over a steal a game because we
Yeah,
know that's not
never.
his MO. Now, him starting injected in the starting lineup, he could potentially maybe average a steal game. And check this out. So last season, the last couple months of the season, he was inside the top 60, and this was a guy coming off the bench, right? And
Mhm.
last year he was averaging a good amount of time, 32 minutes, 31 minutes. Like so even if a player doesn't start, but he actually is starting this year. LT made some good points. Jimmy Butler, just a little bit of an older team, right? Now, obviously, like you said, they got Bam Adebayo, but Victor Oladipo, Dr. Doom, right? He's coming off the bench, right? Um, but what else do you really have over there, right? So with that said, that is going to inject more life into coming from Tyler Hero because, like he said, Kyle Lowry is older. Um, but to finish and if he's valued at 70, like mid seventh round,
Mhm.
I think that's
7.
that's good value, right?
Yeah.
Because he potentially, and if his defense, and obviously, like we were saying, he ain't gonna average 4 blocks a game. Like that's an outlier.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
If he's really committed, and that's good because if he's willing to commit on defense, it's because Jimmy Butler is also gonna pushing him, right?
infuse
He's a
that,
good
push him
mentor.
for that, yeah.
So if he's averaging a defensive stat of a steal, obviously he's not going to average a block a game, but like it's going to be at least like point 0.3 versus the point 0.1 block last year. Then his
Mhm.
value automatically is going to shoot him up. So then it's like, well, what do you think he'll shoot up as? Do you feel like he's going to be? I believe he'll be inside the top 75 player, but if he averages a steal a game and he scores over 20 points a game, and his usage rate continues to go because his usage rate actually took an increase last year under the radar in a massive
Mhm.
way. I think that's a really honestly that's a breakout player too. Like to be honest with you, I think he finishes potentially in the top inside the top 50, and you're basically cutting a coupon on him. So that's a good
Yeah.
call out on him.
Yeah, those threes go up. 2.7 last 2.7 made threes. I think that goes up a little bit. I think he averages 3 to, somewhere in that 3 area every game. Assists 4.0. I think that goes up to
Mhm.
4.5 playing with better players more often on that
Yeah,
starting lineup. I just think that him injecting him into the starting lineup means he starts and finishes games. I just think he's just in better positions to score and be a scorer and do more stuff out there. So yeah,
that's good. Well, thank you guys for tuning in on this episode. You guys can find me on my Twitter handle again. I'm going to slowly try to get back on Twitter, but you can always ask questions at any time. My Twitter handle is at Starks_industry. And if you have based questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Fishers of Men 21. Yeah, you can reach out to me anytime, and I'll try to get to you at the best convenient time. And I'll pass you the ball, LT. Where can they reach you at, man?
yeah, man. You guys can reach me at Storm Stage Gaming on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter. That's where my main. And looking forward to continuing seeing what goes on this season, the fantasy season, man. I'm interested to see where some of my projections fall, and I know Starks is interested in seeing what's going on Tuesday. We're like 2 days away.
I know, right? So then, just to let the listeners know, I know we typically did last year like one episode a week, and I know we struggle from time to time. I will say I will try to maybe push maybe 2 episodes a week, and if LT is available, or sometimes LT might just do an episode if he's wants to do it alone solo. We'll kind of go dolo from time to time, if we're prepared for it. If we can both do it, we'll come on. So that way we could try to be consistent. But I also know it might be difficult for us because I'm going to try to get the waiver wires out,
Mhm.
on the website, but that's been tough. We've just been busy, but we want to definitely help you guys out, at least on the podcast. So, is there anything else you want to say before we, get out, LT?
No, look out for speaking of solo, I do have some solo content. Actually probably after this, I will make sure that gets posted up on the channel, the New Life Fantasy channel on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. as well as audio for it. I did one of my first drafts. I just recorded myself. So if you guys want to listen to that on a road trip or a drive or something like that, go ahead and take a listen.
All right. Well, listeners, we thank you so much for tuning in. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.